Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach and I'm going to be doing some more work on StaticCast. It's one of those things when you release something and then you try it out, or as in this case, my friend tried it out, and there's a couple things that I noticed that I went, oops. There's things that I know I need to add, just features that I know I need to put in. But there's also some things that are just bugs. And while I don't think, as you're going to see in a moment, I don't think I can squash them all completely. That's okay. This, again, is an experiment, and it's not really meant to be all-inclusive. At least I'm not going to try to figure out a way to make this 100% bulletproof. If I can, so much the better, but I haven't thought of anything just yet. So we're going to just add on and see if we can get this to work. I'm also going to, with this first thing that I'm going to be working on, I'm also going to see if I can start changing the generated code to start actually using raw string literals inside. I think that might actually make it easier and cleaner to read. It may make it a slightly bit slower and more memory consumption, but I want to try it out and just see how it works. Okay, so the problem is, if I come over here, is this resolve members that only differ by return type. So if you have two different interfaces that have two different versions of foo, one returns an int, one doesn't, just does void, then what would end up happening right now is you generate two foo methods, and you can't overload by return type alone. So this gives this error. And what I need to do is generate a nested static class inside that does this. And I think I already tried this out with the playground. Did I? Oh, that would be here. Okay. That's right. Because you got to comment it all out. So, no, I didn't try it out, but that's okay. I think that will work. And then I just have to keep track of the return types, do a dictionary by key, and then some hash set that's based on uniqueness of your signature of your method or member. It gets really hairy after a while. I could also just thought of a case where almost if one interface has a getter name string and the other one has a setter name string, you have to make sure that you would combine those together and do that. So many corner cases, but again, one thing at a time. Let's make sure that we're handling this correctly. Okay. So how to do this? Come into here. First thing we need to do is make a branch. So say get new branch 9 nested class for return type. Okay, but again, the first thing I want to do is actually change. Now, this is going to be a little, how exactly do I want to do this and where? So I forgot where I was. I had to tell my son to stop making so much noise. Anyway, so something like this I think makes sense because these are just one piece of, and again, I got distracted. So something like this I think makes sense because you can do it all as just text. There's no reason. These right lines make it a little bit harder to read. So in actuality, what I want to do is then do this along with what I called up here, this indented text writer extensions, which will basically say, take a string, in this case, a raw string literal, go through it by each line and right line each one of those out. And then I want to also do something potentially where you put in, where you put in indentation based on the current tab string so that you could have like an interpolated raw string literal and say at this line, I put all this code in, and then it would indent those lines as well correctly. So yeah, it's Work in progress. Though one of the things I'm thinking of as I just said this is to say, how much do you want to indent this chunk of code? And so it would do an indent here, and then like an indent plus plus how many times, then write out all the lines, and then do an indent minus minus. So it would bring you back. That would actually be a lot easier. The thing though is there is something in here to say, what is the template indentation? Because I use a tab, but what may be configured by the users, they want to use 3 spaces. So I need to remove all the tabs that I have at the beginning, then insert their tabs that has been configured. As a side note, I have to put the link in the description, is I put a request to expose the tab string value in indented text writer. It should be a very small thing, but I don't know if Microsoft's going to do it or not, because you basically, it's set, it's a private field, but then you can't read it. So you don't, it's just a little bit harder to then, you have to remember that, like I am, just as a value somewhere as to what it could be. So in any event, I think this will help. So we'll see. So if we come back to StaticCast here, I think one way that may potentially be easy to do is say, well, verify we're doing is tabs. Okay. And so what we want to do here is say var code is equal to, and then that, and then we just do that. Back up the bus, and we're done. So that would be all that we'll print out. Now we also need here in extensions a indented text writer extensions. Okay. And then we'll come back over here. Let's grab this. And we'll make this static. That. Add missing usings. What is the problem here? New line is a string. Split. I thought you could. Huh. That must be because I'm in .NET Standard 2. It doesn't have that, whatever this is, to work with. That doesn't make any sense. Why? So what's a string and the substrings are based on the characters in an array. So what's a string and a maximum number of substrings based on the strings in an array? Okay. Maybe that's why they added over here a separator. Yes. That's not available here. String split options, none. We don't want to remove, because if you have like a empty line, we still want that to be printed. Okay. And I bet this is some other overload that I don't. Oh. Invariant culture. Ignore case. I don't know. Okay. All right. Excuse me. So this should work. The other thing here is, I thought there was a way to say like new string based on a that sucks. Yeah, if you have a char, then you can say count and it will do that number of times. But that's not, I want to do that as a string. Maybe there's a more efficient way of doing that, but that's okay. What we'd want to do though, we still need the template indentation because we need to change those out. But if they exist in the string, and I'm trying to think, why did I put that out? I don't think you need that out. You only need, there was something I was trying to do that I thought you needed to, but that should be fine. That tells you how many like things you found to remove, which means these are the number of things of tab string you need to add. We could have here like int indentation equals 0. And so we'd say, oh God, come on. No, stop. Sometimes IntelliCode can be really annoying. If indentation is greater than 0, then no, why? Oh my God. Self.indent plus equals indentation. There. And then we need to do the thing at the end, because we want to say minus out. Okay. That actually should work. So let's actually see that work. This is never used. So now here what we would say is writer.write lines. Okay, why don't you know what that is? It's an indented text writer. I should make this internal because we don't need that exposed. Code. Come on, you should know it. There you go. Okay, so then template indentation is a tab. Now this is why I want the tab string to be known. So, and we don't need to do any extra indentation here. So that's it. I personally find this much easier to read than what I just had. So now the thing I want to do here is let's run these tests, because this should give the same code that we had before. It shouldn't be any different. So we're going to run these tests and see, do we actually cause a failure or not? Well, we have 2 failures. So let's see what actually happened here. Oh, that's interesting. So did it go to, it went 1 in too much because there was 1 in there that was too much, which is fine. Run them again. And now they pass. Good. That is good. I could stick this in as one line, but I think it's easier to read it as this and then do what we need to do here. So the same thing. Let's do the same thing for method info. Get target method. Okay. Now I'm also going to need to be a little bit, hold on, you'll see what I mean in a moment. Nope. There. And we'll make sure that we've got the spacing on the blank lines correct. Okay. And then we'll just say the same thing here. And that should be it. Now, I could now actually put this in here and say like that. But for the exception to occur, and that would be fine. I mean, there. I find this so much easier to read than what I have been doing. We'll run these tests again. And they pass. Good. Okay, so let's commit this. Started changing how I use raw string literals with dead text writer. This is a good proof of concept because I'm considering doing this on all my source generators once we actually get to C# 11.NET 7. So don't remove this, Microsoft. I want to keep this. So, okay, so those are the helpers. Much cleaner, much easier, much better to write, read, everything else. This is a great way to start a Saturday morning. Very happy with that. Okay. Now let's push it a little bit more. We want to do the members builder. Okay. So this gets a little bit more hairier-ish. Okay. Because what we want to do is potentially something like this, where what we want is var code is equal to and we're going to want that. Okay. Oh, we need these to be 2. That's right. Because that's the way it works with interpolation with raw string literals. A little weird, but it makes sense. Okay. Especially because you're going to have like that there. And so do you want those to be, these are the holes, you probably want those to be changed. So that makes it makes sense to me in my mind. Okay. Which doesn't really mean much, but yeah, this is going to be a lot cleaner to read, I think. So then we're going to say writer.write lines code. Come on, pick it up. There you go. And we take the current indentation. Okay. So that took care of all that. Now we could also put in a line there because we want the line there. Okay. And let's group that together. Okay. Now we could also take the parameter types, throw it up here, because the next line of code we want to write is this thing, but it's not going to look nowhere near as bad as this because what we're doing is, no, we just want one there. Okay. And then we do that, and then we say the rest of this. God, this is so much nicer to read. And then we want to do this. Nope. Because we indent back. We say target method is that. So we've done that. We're going to pull these two up and put them here. Okay. And then what we need is that here, except they need to be holes. And then we just, wow. That is, I know that's still kind of jumbled up here because, you know, I gotta get the return type, I gotta get the parameters, parameter types, parameter names should return, but then that's just the code. That's your template, and you just fill in the holes as you need. I'm grooving on this. I mean, I just think this is so much better than what I had before. They failed, but it might be because of massively bad generated code now that I did. That's a target method. There's that space. Oh, so it's just the space again. Okay. Is it up here? Is it here? Where was it? It was between verify and if. It should be what that is, right? Oh, is it? It doesn't really not have any space there. Okay. That's fine. That does. That does now. Okay. Not great, not terrible. And they passed. So yeah, I took all that code, which this, think of this again as a template, because all you're doing is saying, I'm going to put the return type here. I'm going to put that here. But then all this code is just what gets generated. I find this as a source generator author, this is so much better than what I had before. I really, really like this. Very clean. Now the thing here is, do you keep this or do you not? Do you do you say yes or do you say no? Arguably in this case, I think it's okay to have these right lines here to at least start. Otherwise you're just doing one right line anyway here. So this seems pretty basic. Something that gets more complicated, like what you're seeing here, this makes a lot more sense to put them out all as one line. Figure out anything that you need to do to fill in the holes, but then you do that. This is a great start to a Monday morning. Saturday. Jeez. I don't know where I am. All right, so I'll commit this, but we really haven't done the problem of putting in like the right nested class and then putting all the members in with that. That's going to take more work. That's probably going to take a couple of episodes to do, but let's just bask in the glory of this. Look at that. It's just look. Of course, I really need to pass along the tab string. I was thinking too, what I could have here is some really odd thing. Let's just try this real quick. Internal static string get tab string. This indented text writer self. Okay. And we're going to see if I can do a weird trick here. Static string get field value. Okay, where we're going to say type of indented text writer get field, where we know it's going to be tab string. At least that's what it is in the code. This is a little dicey. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Binding flags, system reflection, non-public, and binding flags instance. No. Instance. Okay. So we get that field, and we want to get the value from self as a string. What are you barking at? Get the value. So we get the value. Just yes. And now I need to say string here. And what are you barking at? It's never declarable used. So now what we want to say is, oh crap. I was trying to do some weird remembrance of trying to get the value. What is this barking at? A static local function cannot get, yeah. We could just do this. This is there. And then we don't need to remember the tab string. We can just say var. I am thoroughly convinced there's something weird with Visual Studio on my machine where it's just never doing the right formatting. And the only way to ever do this is to completely like wipe my machine and start over. And I just, nope. Self get tab. Oh, come on. Can I not type this morning? Thank you. And then that should be it. Yeah, now, of course, there's going to be some breaks because we were forcing people to pass it in. And we don't need to do that anymore. We just are saying our templated thing, we know we use tabs. Okay. But we don't know, we don't want to know what indented text writer did because that would be a bad assumption. I like this a lot better. It's using reflection. That I don't like, but yeah, I passed. Okay. I'll put in here one quick note. This is fragile, but hopefully we can get a public read-only property for this private field in the future. Okay. All right, so the next episode we'll actually figure out how we need to generate these nested classes to minimize the damage from returning by overload by return type only. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.